Hey friend, it's Ange here, and today in the podcast, we're talking about you feeling better in your life because you are acting like you're in charge of your life and you're in charge of your energy. In other words, you are acting like the CEO of your life because that's really the role that you're playing in your life, and you're acting as so versus acting like an assistant in your life. And I'm going to dive deeper in what I mean by this. But it's a pattern that I've been noticing in my life where I can sometimes shift into the role of an assistant in my life, where I'm taking on emotional things, the drama from other people, dealing with problems that a CEO wouldn't be dealing with because they're going to honor their time more, they're going to guard their energy more. So I just wanted to bring that analogy up so you can think about like how it's similar, like the CEO role, the assistant role, and like some of the behaviors that we are doing in our life. And the reason why I thought about this too was because I was teaching a class earlier today, and I teach class on persuasion, and we were talking about just being more persuasive in your communication skills, your presentation skills. And oftentimes people tell me their goal for showing up to the class, because these are classes that are taught for different corporations globally, they'll often say, my goal for showing up is to get better at persuading and communicating with the leadership above me, like the executive leadership above me. And a lot of them already sit in pretty high leadership roles within their organization, but they're like, I just want to get better at talking to the ones that have a little more power. And it's interesting because we often say that when you're talking to people that are very busy and that are like executive level, they want you to be very clear and concise in your communication to them. They don't want you to share all these additional details that aren't necessary because they're busy and they got stuff to do. So that's a big part of being successful of talking to them, is being very intentional, very concise so that you can honor their time. That's what they care about the most. And I was thinking about how, why are so many of us acting like we need to act a certain way around those people? It's like you are those people. Like some of you all are actually sitting in roles like that are listening. And if you're not, you're the CEO of your life, of your life. And your time is so valuable. So why are you just giving it to anybody who demands it? Why are you giving your energy and your focus to drama, problems, crap, and getting wrapped up in it when it's not yours to take on? Why are you taking on the responsibility of how other people feel when that's their own work to be done? Like, these are questions I've been asking myself. So I want to quickly tell you some stories around some lessons life has been giving me this past week. And I'll try to simplify it, but I really want you to understand my frustration behind it too. So you may have heard my husband and I have been on the journey of finding a Maine Coon cat. I didn't know it was going to be this difficult, but apparently a lot of people want these Maine Coon cats for a similar reason why we wanted one, because of the demeanor, the gentle spirit, and like the way they look and things like that. And I'm not the person that's obsessed about that. Like, we rescue, like, I have a cat behind me right now that we found at like a gas station in South Carolina that we've had for so many years. Like, we're all about like bringing in rescues and things like that. But this was just a special thing that we're like, we want this. Like, if after we told ourselves after our big fat boy Steve passes, we're gonna see if we can get a Maine Coon. And then I started going down that journey, and then I'm like, whoa, you actually need to go through this whole like process with these breeders and whatnot. And I didn't know breeders, I know they're not all this way, but I didn't know so many were so kooky. Let's just say it, okay? So I thought maybe these were slightly different, the ones that we just started working with. But we were on the wait list, so we met with this couple who raised these Maine Coon cats. And at the time, the mama cat she was about to get pregnant. She wasn't even pregnant yet. But we were put on this wait list. And they're like, you're like fourth on the wait list if you have a boy. So she'd have to have 4 boys before you could get one. And we're just like, okay, whatever. It's this whole process. So it went on for a couple months or more than that of us being on the wait list. And they would send updates around what was going on with the cats. So they were all chat GPT generated. I need to talk about a whole nother episode about that. I'm going to come back to that. So we'll circle back. But they were all ChatGPT generated. And what I mean by that is like, they were just like updates around what was going on with her. Like, we think she's pregnant now, and like gave some more updates and was like, oh, looks like she's, developing like her nipples are showing or whatever, like full details, guys, around what's happening with this cat developing. But there wasn't like, it didn't require a response from us because it was like a ChatGPT generated updates on this cat that's pregnant now, and then we'll keep updating you. So I guess that's a part of the process. Like, most people want to be very informed of what's going on. To be honest with you, like, we didn't care at that level. But so I didn't respond to all those. But anytime they messaged us and they were like, hey, hey Angela, hey Ian, just so you know, you guys moved up on the list because now other people dropped off. You're up on the list. And I'd be like, awesome, thanks for updating us. Like, anything that warranted a response from me, I was replying to. But if it was just like basic information about what's going on with the cat's boobs or something, I wasn't always responding to those, right? So, anywho, we get a notification that the cat's in labor. They have like this webcam thing that you can watch the cat, and like some people log in and watch the cats regularly. Like, I don't know. I mean, to each their own, but I wasn't doing that. I don't got time for that, like CEO of my life. I got other things that's going on. So I'm not watching a cat on YouTube, like looking to see what's going on with this cat. So anyways, they did say the cat was in labor, and I was like, oh, the cat's in labor. I wanted to see if they had a boy, like how many boys, if we could get one. So we're like organizing our house and stuff, and we have like crap everywhere because we're trying to get stuff ready for the baby girl that's coming in February. And we like all sat down in this mess, and I was like, look, and we were showing Zion, and we're like, look, babies are coming, explaining it to him. And we were excited. The next day, we get a message saying, we're taking you off the list, the wait list, because of your lack of responsiveness. And I was like, what? Like, it was like the next day after the babies were born. And I was like, what do you mean by lack of responsiveness? So I was kind of shocked. And I was like, I screenshotted and I showed all my replies from the past few months, or past couple months. And they were like, they came back, and long story short, they brought up something in the email about how Ian had asked them about pricing, and he thought the pricing was lower. He's like, oh, I thought it was lower. I thought I seen it on the site that it was lower. And the guy was like, oh, well, if it wasn't the site lower, I would honor that. Like, it was an initial conversation that we had. And we were like, okay, cool. And we just left it at that. Well, they brought that up and said, and also because you mentioned this pricing and we couldn't find a lower price that you referred to, and they acted like we were being shady about it, but we're like, no, you guys said, we said we thought we saw the price was lower, and then you said, oh, maybe it was. That could have been last year's price, but either way, we'll honor it for you. Like, it wasn't a big deal. That's why we were continued to be on the wait list. But all of a sudden, we were now not very responsive enough to them. So they were taking us off the wait list. And then they brought up this financial thing. And I'm like, well, if that was a concern, why didn't you bring that up sooner? Like, why were we kept on the wait list? But what I realized, this is my own judgment, I think what happened is they had the babies, and they realized they had a lot more boys. They had colorings and patterns and things that they knew they could get a lot more money for. And it was a way to take us off the list, because I think it was like an excuse to saying we're not responsive because I didn't reply to your text in 3 hours because I was making dinner and feeding my son and putting him to sleep. And now I'm off the list that I've been on for multiple months. It's like, that doesn't make sense. So you could tell the shadiness was there, and they just didn't want to honor what they said initially and wanted to find another excuse. So I was upset by the situation, and I felt like it was a sign because I was like, okay, we don't need this freaking cat anyways. But I felt like I just was mad that, like, I'm like, I can't believe you're like acting this way. Like, and I was annoyed, and I'm like, we just watched this cat like weirdly in labor like yesterday with our baby. Like, it's like, so anyways, I end up replying back to them, and I was just honest about it. And I said, it sounds like to me, this is really what it's about. It's not about this lack of response. Because to say, like, if you had an expectation I needed to respond to you within 3 hours via text, if you texted me anytime, then you should have communicated that. So I was like, what is, like, but I felt like the shady energy there. I knew it was there. So this is the part I want to get to, guys, is then Ian and I went back and forth. We were like, what? We were just so shocked by the whole thing. We're like, we felt like we've been misled for months, all this drama. And then we did laugh about it later. But in the moment, we were just like annoyed by it. And it took like 3 hours of our energy, like that night. Because we're like, Zion went to bed early that night. And I was like, oh, maybe we can do a yoga class and stretch and like sleep well and just have time to talk to each other, which is rare. So that didn't happen because we gave it to this whole cat fiasco. So the next day, Ian brought it up again and was like, I'm still annoyed by that whole situation. And I was like, you know what annoys me more about the whole situation? What annoys me more is that I gave so much of my energy to it. That is what annoys me more. That I was like wrapped up in like, oh, this is crap that they did this. And like, I even thought like I should post publicly somewhere about their like dishonest behavior. Like, it's like that retaliation energy came in. But then I was like, you know what? Like, none of this is worth my energy. And here I am giving it all here. And I knew there was a higher version of myself that was telling myself, this is happening for you. You'll get another cat. Like, there's something else meant for you. You're not supposed to use your money in that way. Like, whatever it was like, there's another thing, another message there. There was the higher version speaking, but then there was like this lower version energy of myself that was like, frustrated. And I was just giving so much of my power to it. So I just told him, I was like, that is what frustrates me most, that I gave 3 hours of my energy to that crap. When I could have been spending it with you, doing something good for my body, doing something that's aligned with my vision. But here I was giving that away. And we do that so often. So I was like, that's the part that I want to do differently going forward. I can't change how they show up, but I can change how I show up and what I choose to give my energy to. Because I feel like the higher version of myself, the CEO of her life version of herself, like she would have been like, what? These people are nuts. Like, okay, fine. Take me off the list. I'll go find another cat. There's so many of them. I can get them. I can probably find one out on the field somewhere right now. It wouldn't have like rocked you that much. And for me, it did. So I just was checking in. I was like, what am I giving my energy to? So then I was going to meet with someone because I've been really trying to do this concept of, if you're familiar with Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time. It's phenomenal if you want to be really intentional with your time and energy. And I've been learning just a lot about like outsourcing things. Like if I have the ability to outsource a task, then do that. Is it worth my time to actually do the thing? So I was like, we had a property that we needed to get cleaned. And I was like, yeah, I could go in there and try to clean it, but maybe it would make more sense for me to see if I can get someone else who honor their business and see if they can come in and do a cleaning, because I think it'll take like a couple hours or something like that. And anyways, the person, and this is a huge thing for me because the old version of myself would have just done it. But now I'm like, how can I buy back my time? So I went there and I met the person, or she's supposed to come and meet me. So she was late. And it was like 7 minutes after she was supposed to be there. So I texted her. I'm like, are you on your way? And the reason why I asked that was because I didn't get an update for her. Like I figured like someone would say like, hey, Ange, I'm so sorry. I'm running late. I'll be there and like update me before, like, but no one said anything. And I'm a big about communication. So I'm gracious because I know you have like, I'm the same way. Like I get busy. I have things going on. I run late to things. Like I'm a human too. But the communication side, like none of that was there. I'm the one who had to ask for it. So then it ends up being close to half an hour by the time she shows up, like being late. And I'm not gonna lie with y'all, like, I was annoyed by the situation because I was like, I had to leave my house. That half an hour, I could have been prepping dinner at home. I could have been going for a walk. I could have been, and I'm thinking about things differently. The old me wouldn't have thought of that, but the CEO of my life is like, don't waste my time. It's very different. And I don't mean that in like I'm a brat type of way. I mean it in a my time is so precious and so is yours. It's the most precious gift that you have. And so many of us are acting like, let's just give it to whoever wants it. And like so many people are just so disrespectful of people's time. And it made me think about like, how can I be more intentional with my time and also honor other people's time more? Like if I say I'm going to do something, do it. And if I like not doing my best not to run late to things and just really honor that time because it's so precious to everyone. So it's changed my mindset around like how I show up, and I'm like, I get it now. Why people that are in these roles that we think are so much higher than us, no matter what role you're in, there's always someone that's in a higher role than you. So like when we think about them, it's like we act like they're worthy of that. Like we need to be a certain way and honor their time, but why are we not worthy of that as a CEO of our own lives? So I was just thinking about like what it boiled up for me when I was kind of like, yeah, I'm annoyed by this because I just gave you half an hour. And I'll tell you the other reason why I'm annoyed. Because I have talked to so many moms and that are so busy, and even women with even without kids that are so busy, and they'll be like, oh, it's just so hard for me to find the 15 minutes for myself or the 5 minutes to journal or to move my body for 15 minutes in the morning or whatever it is. It's just hard for me to find that. But I bet you, they're giving that away to other people. Just handing it over, because I just handed over half an hour the other day waiting for the person to show up. And I thought, what could I have been doing the half hour? Now, higher version of myself in that moment could have been like, okay, what's the opportunity in this situation? Because this is the reality, she's running late. What's the opportunity in this situation? Is I could have even probably stood there and did a workout myself. And I did make the best of the situation. Like I ended up cleaning up the property and was going around getting things. But I just wanted to share that with you because what are you giving your attention to? And maybe like you should be getting a little more upset that people are taking your time that aren't that for something that isn't worth it to you, that shouldn't be on your plate. That maybe like if you had an assistant, that assistant would be taking care of it kind of thing. And I think about even if you don't actually have that assistant, like just really thinking about, yeah, that's for an assistant, not a CEO. I'm the CEO of my life. Like even just thinking about that, like metaphorically, like I think about how if someone's coming to me with a problem that isn't really mine to care for, it's like, yeah, that's not something I'm taking on. That's your stuff. I was even talking to a friend of mine who was talking about how she's been having some challenges with her husband around. She just says that he like adds stuff to her plate. Like, can you get this done? Can you do this? And she's like, dude, I'm doing so many things. Like, I'm trying to work. I'm trying to take care of the kids. I'm trying to manage household. And then you're like, hey, can you also add this to your plate? She's like, I'm just triggered. I'm annoyed by it. Or he wants me to go do something. And it's like, I don't have the energy for it at the end of the day. And I was talking to her about how even like how we do that with people we love is like we take on their energy in the sense of like you act like it's your job to please them, to make them happy, or like you don't want to say no to doing that thing, or maybe you deeply inside you do want to say no to it, but it's like it's going to lead to more conflict, they're going to be upset. So then what you do instead is just let yourself be upset and you deal with it. And it's like you're taking on what's theirs to deal with. Like maybe they need to sit in the frustration or sit in the energy of like their expectation wasn't met because they had an expectation of how you were going to show up and you didn't show up that way. And now they need to manage their mind around it. And that's their work to be done. But what we do a lot of times, I think as women, is we try to fix it. We're the one who tries to take it on. And that's us taking on someone else's energy, taking on someone else's job. When you're like, no, a CEO won't be taking that on. Assistant might try to fix that problem, but not a CEO. And you're the CEO of your life. So just thinking about that and like letting people, like maybe some of this is about you being more comfortable with people being disappointed in you. People being frustrated that their expectation of you wasn't met. Because I'm trying to sit with that now because there's a lot of people that demand like your time in the sense of like, I don't know what it is, but y'all, people be thinking that if they message you that you need to respond immediately. I've noticed that because I think a lot of people do respond immediately. So that's what I've been seeing is where people are like, what's going on? You haven't responded to me in a day. And it's like, yeah, because there's like, I'm trying to do all these things. And like, I'm not always on my phone. Like I'm constantly telling people like, just so you know, I don't live on my phone constantly. I don't always see these messages, but people expect that. Like that's how they are. And I'm trying to live this life where it's like, most people may give their energy to anybody who asks and any old thing and try to take on how other people feel and fix all these things, but I'm not going to. Like, I want to be proud of how I used my energy. And I don't want to just fall into the expectations of others. And that's what people do. And I realize that people we admire or in these higher roles that we see, they don't just give their energy to anybody and everything. They don't. They're very intentional about it. And they try to outsource things so they don't have to take it on emotionally. Or they say, yeah, that problem doesn't even get my attention at all. So I want you just to think about this in your life. Like, where are you giving your attention and energy? Sign is crying out there, so you might hear him, but where to places that is not worthy of it. That where you're acting more, you're not acting like the CEO of your life and guarding your time and energy. And then again, where are you not letting other people handle their own crap? Like, sit in the discomfort of, let them be upset at you. Let them be frustrated that you're not doing something a certain way that they expect and want you to. I even see this in some of my career coaching clients where they'll be like, the person that I'm working with doesn't have kids, doesn't have a family, like isn't like, married, doesn't have all these other demands on them. And so they're always there. So they respond immediately. So they have that expectation of me. And I have a very different life. And this is where it's like, sometimes we get in the land of like, we try to change how they're thinking and how they show up. None of that is in our control. All that's ever in our control is our energy and how we show up. And some of it is like us just being better at being okay with letting them be frustrated with how we show up. And letting them know that that's not how we're going to show up. And setting the standard for how we want to be treated. Like we teach other people how to treat us. So if you're teaching other people like how that I respond immediately when you really don't want to, why are you teaching them that? Instead, communicating like, hey, I typically respond at these hours at this time. If you don't hear a response from me, it's probably because I'm doing this, or like set some standards around it. Like I found myself the other day writing out that I would respond within a day, one business day of my inquiries about speaking. And I was like, what are you doing, Ange? Don't write that. Because you don't want to hold yourself to that standard because you don't always see stuff within one business day. Like sometimes I'm on a plane. So I just wrote in there that I would respond shortly. Like, yes, I'll try to be attentive, but I'm not going to say that, put myself at an expectation that I actually don't want to follow. Like I want more the freedom in my life. So I just think permission for you to disappoint people. I want to give you permission to do that. Because if you're intentionally designing your life, you're going to be disappointing people. It might even be people that you really love and you really care about. But that's what it takes. It takes that courage to design the life that you want. And people will always have their expectations around how they think you should behave. And you got to be the best advocate in your life and intentionally design your life and be intentional with your energy, what you choose to give it to. So that's one thing, permission to offend, permission to disappoint, and permission to act like the CEO of your life and stop acting like the assistant in your life. The CEO, you get to decide what you're giving energy to. You get to decide how you're organizing your time. All of that is yours. And it's really cool to think about. And like, again, people that you admire at these high levels, let's say, they're okay with people not liking them. They're okay with people being disappointed with them because you know what they care about more is how they like themselves and how they feel about their life. Like that should be what matters more is how you feel about your life, not how other people think about you. So just really check in with yourself. Like, where is some of this stuff showing up? Because if this stuff is showing up like it has been in my life, these are lessons for you to learn. And if you're realizing you don't like how things are going, this is just information telling you that things are out of alignment. And you just got to shift. And you're being called to act like the next level version of yourself. And what would she do in these situations? How would she handle it? Would she give all of her energy to that petty, stupid crap? No, she wouldn't. She'd focus on what? Her health, her family, her dreams, her vision. That's where her energy's going. All right, y'all. I hope this episode was helpful to you and you have an awesome day. Let me know if you were liking these episodes. I'd love to hear from you. If you have a request on something that you want to hear about, I'm happy to hear about that too. And that's it, y'all. Have a blessed and amazing day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.